we are going to discuss the low income report for the 2022 school year. It's hard to believe it is 2022. The purpose of the low income report is to count your students for a lot of different funding purposes. For at least this year, FSAs we're still going to be completing the low income report. I know at one time we talked about the low income report could possibly go away. I don't think it's going to go away in our lifetime. So just be prepared to keep filling out the low income report for years to come. It's developed for reporting the free and reduced meal eligibility that used to be reported on some different things for different programs. Now we combine it all into one report. It's basically used for Title I allocations. That is based on the 5 to 17-year-old eligibility for free and reduced. That's why we have to have those numbers for the 5 to 17-year-olds. And there's some public laws, and you can find that information in our manual if you want to read about the public laws that we take the low income report from. There's several different laws. Also, the E-rate funding is based on your low income count report. So to have access to your low income report, the first thing you have to do is you have to put in your October seamless summer claim and certify it. In years past, you've had to do your October claim and it has to be certified and processed in all these steps. But this year, because you're doing SSO, you need to put your October claim in as soon as possible. And as soon as you certify that October SSO claims for your sites, then the district will have access to the low income report. For your, on the October claim, normally you report those free and reduced eligible students. We are still going to report your free and reduced eligible students. Those students must be currently enrolled in your school district. They must have access to at least one meal, a breakfast, lunch, or the after-school snack. They need to be enrolled, a student that's enrolled on site, or that student is enrolled but learning virtually, but that student could possibly come get a meal even if they were distance learning. It's still the same as you're not good. We don't count truly virtual students that are only, that are enrolled in a virtual school, not just a regular public school. Your accreditation officer will gather the numbers for those economically disadvantaged forms. And we're going to talk more about the economically disadvantaged forms here in just a few minutes. So the district, if you're on a provision, which you can be on provision 2 or 3, or if you're on the community eligibility provision, then those schools or sites, I really should say sites, may have collected the economically disadvantaged forms for any student other than the ones that are directly certified. Keep in mind, your economically disadvantaged form is not a child nutrition form. It is not reported through the child nutrition free and reduced eligibles for lunch. It is not put in the lunch system. It really has nothing to do with the child nutrition department. As a matter of fact, the cost of printing those cannot come out of your C&P funds. The labor for someone to look at those forms and to evaluate those forms, that cannot be paid out of child nutrition funds. That has to be paid out of other funds, not federal funds, but out of other funds. So what forms can be used for the low income report? Well, first of all, the free and reduced meal application. That's the family size and income application that you distribute to parents. If that student is listed on the direct certification list, if that student is homeless, migrant, runaway, and is on that liaisons list, again, economically disadvantaged forms cannot be used to determine a child's free and reduced price lunch status. So and I'm not looking at the chat, so girls, let me know if the chat blows up here. If you are normally take free and reduced meal applications, and this year you had trouble getting those parents to fill out applications, but for some reason you collected the economically disadvantaged forms, and that child now is below the income scale, you can mark that child as economically disadvantaged in your system, but you cannot mark that child as free or reduced eligible in the lunch program because they are on that economically disadvantaged form. These are two separate documents, two separate forms, and they go in two separate places. If your district did not collect lunch applications, and so for the low income report, only the children that are going to be considered free are those ones that are on that direct certification list or on that homeless, migrant, runaway. All your other children are going to be considered full paid in your lunch program. Your children may be eating all free under the seamless summer option, but the low income report is based on applications, on the direct certification list, homeless, migrant, and runaway. These are the only forms or ways a child can be considered free or reduced. If you are CEP, you could have collected economically disadvantaged. Your lunch system is still going to be marked free, reduced, or paid, depending on if that child, because you're not taking free and reduced lunch applications, so you're not going to have any children that are going to be free due to an application in your lunch system. They could be free for direct cert or homeless or migrant. Otherwise, they would be considered full paid. Now, your CEP school or provision, you collected the economically disadvantaged. So those kids that are under that income allowance would be marked economically disadvantaged, yes. If you don't collect a form on a student or they're over that income amount, then you're going to check no on your economically disadvantaged. Just because a household turns in an economically disadvantaged form does not make them economically disadvantaged. They still have to qualify based on their income on the economically disadvantaged forms.
This could be potentially very detrimental to Title I.
This could be very detrimental. The question came in, or a statement came in that said this could be very, very detrimental to our Title I and E-rate. Yes. We have made the title programs aware that you schools are struggling with your applications. I'm sure they have let the Department of Education know and do the forms like they're supposed to be done this year, no matter what the numbers are. And then hopefully the Department of Ed will look at those. And, I don't know if they'll go back to the 19 numbers. I don't know if they'll have you guys report something new or do something different. But for now, this is the information we've been given from the Department of Ed and USDA. So we're going to fill it out. So like this slide says, if you have 1,000 kids enrolled in your school and you only receive back 150 free applications, 20 reduced, and 200 of your children are on direct cert, only 370 of those children are going to be allowed to be reported as your free and reduced eligibles. Those other 630 are going to be considered full paid students since no application is on file or any of the other approved forms. And yes, that's going to could be detrimental. And guys, hopefully something will be figured out. We're going to do what we're supposed to do as far as the child nutrition part of this is going. And, I would let my superintendent, your superintendent is going to know because your superintendent has to sign the form. But I would let them know this is down from last year and year before. And we will, see how it plays out. The low income report, once you put in your October seamless summer claim and you've certified it, get in there and get that low income report finished. That low income report is last day. We've got to have it by November 30th. We have to get it on over to the title programs the 1st of December. So we have to have those in our office by November 30th or before. Now let's look at where you go to complete the low income report. You go into your CAR system, and as you can see, the low income report there is highlighted in yellow. Once your October seamless summer claim has been certified, then the line appears under the low income report for you to be able to click into it. When you get into it, you're going to include all of your accredited sites on this report. It works kind of like the Schedule A in CARS. So you use the drop down, and we'll show some pictures of that here in a little bit. So when entering the information on the low income report, you want to verify that your site names and numbers are all correct. You want to make sure your grade spans match your grade spans that are there at that school and that you put in on your Schedule A. If for some reason you're in the middle of opening a new site and that site doesn't appear on this report or on your Schedule A, accreditation number is here on the screen, 405-521-3333. You're going to need to talk to them so that that site can get added. Our system as a state pulls from a certain file, school names, school sites, and the accreditation numbers, the site accredited numbers. On your low income report, you're going to need some information. You're going to need your enrollment as of October 1st. You're also going to need your highest eligibles as of October 31st. Remember, this is where it gets kind of confusing. We're really looking at two different sets of numbers, and no, these numbers will never match because your eligibles, you could have a child eligible in the free category, the reduced category, and the paid category. So they may be counted in your eligibles 3 different times. If they came to your school, let's say the 1st of or the 3rd of October, and they enrolled and they didn't turn in an application, so you fed them for 3 or 4 days as a full paid student. Well, then mom comes and brings an application and they're reduced. So maybe you feed them the next 5 to 10 days as a reduced student. And then all of a sudden that child appears on the direct cert list. So now they're a free student. So they could be eligible in all 3 categories, but they're not going to be included in your enrollment but one time. Provision in CEP schools for 21-22, you're still going to need that October 1 count. And we will compare that, and you can't put in your low income report until we put those numbers in the system for you. And then you're going to go in and certify those numbers, and then you'll do your percentages for your low income report. And we've got some details in our presentation here in just a few. Inside the low income report, see how it kind of looks familiar to or similar to our Schedule A. You're going to use the drop down and you'll select your site. If you don't see that your microphone is on mute, go ahead and click mute on your microphone. In Zoom, it allows us to mute all microphones, but sometimes I think they come unmuted. So if you would just kind of glance at your microphone, we're getting a little bit of feedback, and that would be great if you could do that. So once inside the low income report, you're going to, first of all, select one in column 1. You're going to select your school site. Column 2 is you're going to, pick your lowest grade to your highest grade. Column number 3 is where you're going to put your enrollment for your 5 to 17-year-olds. Column number 4 is going to be those free students and reduced students that are 5 years of age and under. Column 5 is your 5 to 17-year-olds. You put them in the free and the reduced. You see those different lines there. Column 6 is for those 18 and overs. And then that total column, that will not match the number 3 total column. Number 3 is only the 5 to 17-year-olds. That totals column on the far right over there past number 6 is only the totals of your free and reduced children in those boxes. And I was supposed to wait and go over these with the slides, but I get ahead of myself sometimes. So just kind of, the slides are here for you to go back and look at for each column. There's also, when you get into cars, there is a box, and we didn't put that on the screenshot, with directions on it. So as you see here, that goes over each column. Column 4, what you need. Column 5 is the ages 5 through 17. Column 6 is ages 18 and over. And I put this, I'm not sure if I put this on a slide or not. I thought it was on that slide. But what happens when a child turns 5 in the month of October? Where do you put them? You're going to put them, and this can be found on page C41. It's number 4 on that page, C41 in the manual. If a child turns 5 in the month of October, count that student in the 5 to 17-year-olds. If that child turns 18 in the month of October, you're going to still count him or her in the 5 to 17-year-olds. And they're, if you're a big enough school, that's going to happen. You're going to have some kids because there's a lot of birthdays in October for sure. Normally, when you do your low income report, we look at your low income report and we match it to your free and reduced eligibles on that October claim. Well, as you know, the October seamless summer claim does not ask you for your free and reduced totals. It asks for your enrollment. So there's technically nothing we're going to go back and match to, but we will, when we get your form, make sure what you print and send to us is what you put in the system. Just keep in mind, we don't pay the district. We pay you on the number of meals served, not on your eligibles. And with Seamless Summer, that is exactly true. We pay you on the number of meals. Provision schools. Provision schools are, we've talked a little bit about them because they are a little bit of a unique in how that we get your October 1 numbers, and once we have those from accreditation, that we go in and enter those enrollment numbers and make sure they are correct, and that you're going to go in and certify them. So, and you're going to use your percentages from your current year in your checklist, your current percentages for your CEP or your provision, whichever one, and you're going to use those percentages to calculate the number of free and reduced for your columns for your low income report. We've kind of got an example we're going to run through. There's one in the book as well. Worst case scenario, you get kind of lost on how to do this. Becky is an expert. She rolled her eyes at me, y'all. She really did. I saw her. I've been totally confused on the percentage part, so that's why I'm laughing and telling y'all that Becky's an expert. We will help you with the hang on just 1 minute. I'm going to see if I can't go in and mute all so we don't have the extra background noise. Okay, can everyone still hear me? Put in the chat if you've lost sound. We're still good. All right, so we're moving on. Okay, so our example. In this example, this is more for a provision 2 or 3. CEP works pretty much the same way, only you just do away with the reduced category. So if your enrollment's 326, you're going to look at your kids that are there at your school right now, and you're going to figure out which of those babies are under 5. In this example, 13 are under 5, and over 17 are 11. And your percentage in the system that you're being paid for your meals on a normal year, not CEP, is 85% of those students are free and 3% are reduced. So on your enrollment, you're going to minus out. My clicker just quit working. You guys ever notice I have lots of technical issues? It could be that I'm technically challenged. I'm just going to say that. So if you have 85%, you're going to apply that to get your number of those 4-year-olds that need to be included on that low income report as free. So you take your 85% times 13, you get 11.05. So we're going to use our normal rounding rules. So that'll be 11 free students in the 4-year-olds. Then you would multiply your reduced percentage, which is 3%, times 13 of those little guys, and it's only 0.39. Well, using normal rounding procedures, 0.39 would round down to 0, so there would be no reduced students in the under 4-year-olds. You would do the same thing for your over 18-year-olds to figure those percentages. Then you would minus those kids out of your enrollment. So once you minus 326 minus the 13 kids and 11 children, you get 302. Then you're going to use that 302 times that 85% to get your free eligibles for the 5 to 17-year-olds. The 302 times the 3% for the reduced, and that equals, 9.06. You round that down to 9. So that would be your free and your reduced. The rest of those children would be considered full paid, but of course the low income report does not ask you for any full paid students. Provision, this is where you find your information. In cards, you're going to go to provision 2 or 3, whichever you currently are. Then you're going to look at view details, and you see that there to the left of delete. Don't hit the delete button. I'm not sure why the delete button's so close to other buttons, but don't hit the delete button. And Edgar's highlighted view details for us there. I better stop and kind of glance at my notes here and make sure I'm not missing anything that I need to specifically say, because we're looking for your base year information. Wait a minute. View details, click the view details link in the row with your site name. If this is a new site, you will be asked to choose the base year. Either select an existing base year for the site or select a new base year. You will be entering a new base year information for this site. So once you get in here, you can see, it asks you for some information. If it's the base year is just rolling over, that information will already be there. I'm looking at the girls in here for backup, and they're shaking their head yes. This has your current site enrollment. This is where Nikki or Becky or Rhonda or whoever is going to go in and put in your current enrollment for this current school year once we get it from accreditation. Then your superintendent will need to go in and certify this information. So see how we've highlighted current enrollment of 157. That will be your current year enrollment, not your base year enrollment, but your current year, that the current year school year we're in. And then the note here says, and this is in cards as well, not just here on the slide, that you enter your current enrollment after October 1st. Once this enrollment is certified by your authorized representative and approved by the State Department. So that's where we go back and we check that against the accreditation report. If August and September, if changes needed to be made, those claims will be revised. Of course, this year there will be no claim revision because you will not be changing your free and reduced numbers at all in the claim system. And that slide just says basically you need to certify that current enrollment by your authorized representative. I said your superintendent had to, but the authorized representative can certify that information. Community eligibility, their report works very similar to how provision works, but you're going to go into your CEP current school year information on the checklist. You're going to go to view details, just like we did for the provision 2 and 3. You're going to get, it says it's going to show a 0 on your enrollment until we get that information from accreditation and put it in there. And that has to be certified by your authorized representative as well. So once you get all those numbers and they're correct, then you're going to use those numbers to complete columns 3 of the low income report. You're going to use your free eligibles for each site. You're going to get your students that are under 4 and over 18 in the right columns for the free and reduced eligibles. Now let's go ahead and look at the low income report. This is just a copy of the low income report as it prints out from our system. We want you to print out this report from our system. Please do not send us a report from your, if you have a lunch system and it prints out a low income report, we're going to send it back and we're going to tell you we want this report. We want all the reports to be uniform this year. So if you're just looking at the report, you can see how they have happy elementary school and happy two elementary schools at healthy. One's happy and one's healthy. Okay. The current grade spans, the number of enrollments, the free and reduced for the 5 and under. In column 4, in column 5, we have our 5 to 17-year-olds enrolled, the 462, there's no reduced. 100, no reduced. I'm probably going to assume this is a CEP school since there's no reduced students, because very rarely do you see 0 reduced students. One little caveat, and on your edit over here, you're going to want to click insert once you put the information in, you're going to click insert to make, that's kind of like the save button. If you look at something and you've entered something incorrectly on any of the columns, click edit, make your changes, and then go back and save each line. Each line is individually saved in this report. If you don't, it doesn't save, and then we don't have the information to us the way you intended it to be. Now, we've done our report. You guys have got it all the way you wanted it. You're getting ready to send it in. We want you to email it or fax it. Emailing it is really, I would say, a safer, more, I don't want to say more better. That doesn't really sound right. But then you have a confirmation from your email that you sent it and what date you sent it. We want you to send them all to our National School Lunch Program email address. So if you're not going to get a copy of the presentation, either take a snapshot of this slide or write down our email address, the nslp@sde.ok.gov. And please, 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 in the subject line, put low income report. If you normally email something straight from your copier, we're going to ask that you not do that, because in the subject line, when you email from your copier, it gives us kind of a string of numbers and says from copier XYZ. Some of them have school names, some of them don't. We go into our email box and we search low income report. It comes up. We do print those out because we're giving those to our neighbors across the hall. We want to be able to find yours. We don't want to call you or keep your November claim locked beyond what it needs to be locked if you've not turned in your low income report. So a suggestion if you normally email straight from your copier, email it to yourself and then forward it on to the NSLP email address. That's the easiest way. Then you've got that confirmation on your email that it was sent. Because when you email them from the copier to prove you did it, you'd have to have the copier man come and pull that out. So I'm kind of rattling on so that if you're needing to take a picture of this slide or you're writing this down, you can get that done. Make sure your county district code is on there somewhere. If it is not, it should be right up here. I went back a slide. It should be on this report, but even it's not a bad idea to put that in that subject line. Make sure this information is on there. And if you print this out, like I'm asking you, begging you to do from the CAR system, it will have your county district code and your school name up there. If you have questions, you are welcome to call Becky, Rhonda, myself, Kendra, Nikki, or Sherry. We've all kind of went over the presentation today. We all have a tiny bit of knowledge about the low income report, and we'll be glad to help you in any way we can. If you're going to fax it in, let's just say you don't email and you're like, oh, Dana said we've got to email it and I don't do that very well, so I'm going to have to get somebody. You may fax it in. But remember, faxes come in here a lot, and sometimes papers get slid in with other papers. But if you do fax it in, there's our fax number on the screen, 405-521-2239. Put attention Becky Gray on it. That will help us make sure that we get all those reports gathered up in where we need them. Make sure the report is signed by your superintendent. That is not the authorized representative. We must have the superintendent's signature on these reports. Then send it to the system. Again, print the low income report from your CAR system. Do not send it straight from your software system. Believe it or not, that is the end of the presentation. Now, I know I've seen Becky reading some questions in the Q&As. I'm going to see if I can bring up the Q&As and ask the girls if we have any.
Sabina wants you to please cover CEP briefly again.
Okay, cover CEP briefly again, because CEP is really the same as provision. You're going to make sure you have your current year enrollment. You're going to go to your view details. You're going to put in your current. It's going to look just like, let me put back to right here. Your CEP current year is going to, view details is going to look pretty much just like this provision one. You're going to put in your current enrollment here, and that's going to match, or it has to match accreditation. If you were, Sabina, you were kind of talking how you would do the percentages. It would be the same way, only there would be no, you would only pull out your 4-year-olds and under, and your 18-year-olds and or over 17-year-olds, and then you would just apply your free percentage to those children. There would be no reduced to be applied to. I hope that cleared things up for Sabina. Any other questions that we need to get my chat up here? Okay, can a superintendent signature be on the LIR be digital? The only way, I'm not sure if how you would, if you could save the report as a PDF and that superintendent use his electronic signature to do that. As long as that is their official signature, we would be fine with that. Okay. Okay, somebody said about the PowerPoint is already posted in CARS and other documents, so you can go pull that and print that. Kendra sent those out this morning. If you were registered before today, she would have emailed those to you this morning. If not, the PowerPoint is in CARS for you to print out. It will be uploaded to, oh, I forgot, OK Edge. It's not OK Edge. It's the new platform we have for trainings that we're OSDE Connect. I knew I'm going to have to write that down and memorize that. Sherry popped her head in and said, OSDE Connect. She is our OSDE Connect coordinator, and she does such a good job with those and getting those posted for us. So they're out there and available for you guys. We will send certificates out. Keep in mind, we look at you have to be on the call a certain percentage of the time to get a certificate. No, we are not necessarily for reviews looking at professional standards this year, but those hours do roll into next year. So, keep your certificates from this year so that, you will be covered for the next school year. Call us if you have questions. If you don't get it, if you feel like you needed a certificate and you don't get a certificate, call and we'll look at the time spent on the call and we will, look at that. When did you say this is due? Your low income report is due in our office on or before November 30th. Please get us those as soon as possible. The low income will not open until you submit and certify your October seamless summer claims. Yes. Right. Leanne brought up a good point, preferably before November 30th. So if you see something that's wrong and you need to correct the error, or we need to get back in touch with you because something doesn't look right, maybe your enrollment's 1,000, but you only have 3 kids, or your enrollment is 1,000 and all 1,000 are free. We're going to call you and say, what's up? If you're jumping off, somebody's saying they're jumping off, they have another COVID meeting, go. Somebody's got to go serve lunch, go. We're going to hang around here for just a few more minutes and see if anybody has any question. To get a certificate, it's not the time that we stay on chit-chatting. It's the time that the actual presentation was going. So from the time I started on slide number 2 until I said we're going to go to the chat for questions, that's the amount of time you have to spend on for getting a certificate. So, okay, Chris, I'm going to read your question out loud. It says the schools are always calling, wanting to know about what percentage of free and reduced they are. What numbers do we go off of? Off of the low income, 5 to 17, and divide by the 5 to 17, or is it the total enrollment divided by the free and reduced? So if it's somebody writing a grant, you can give them the low income report, but then you need to make sure they know that's not just your district percentages, because your district percentages is based on your total enrollment. So add all the 4-year-olds and the 18-year-olds, all the enrollment That's what those are based on. But if you're a CEP or provision, then if your enrollment's 100 and your 80% are free, so 80 students are going to be free and 20 students are going to be full paid. The low income report may only have, because you may, of those 100 kids that are enrolled, maybe 3 of them are less than 5-year-olds and 3 more are over 8 or 17 or 18 and over. So those would be pulled out of the low income report and reported on those different lines, but not in that enrollment, because that enrollment on column 4 is just the enrollment of the 5 to 17-year-olds. I hope I helped and didn't just confuse you totally more, because I can do that. You guys that have talked to me know that. Jim Price, if you attend the recording and you follow the steps that it has for you to get a certificate, yes, you can get a certificate. Oh, you just jumped on because yes, if you watch it on OSDE Connect, you should be able to get a certificate. Not for us. Thank you, ladies. Tell Rhonda I said hi from transportation. Rhonda said to tell you hi too.
And ha ha ha.
And ha ha ha, she said. Thanks. I'll be calling when I start working on it. The easiest thing is to go ahead and get your enrollment, figure out those kiddos that are in that 4 and under category and that over 17, get those figured out who they are, then go in and start filling out the form. Then when you have questions, give us a shout. We'll be glad to help you. Chris, on E-rate, I have no idea. We give the Title I, Nancy Hughes, the information and how they figure and who they give it to. That is beyond our scope of knowledge. The slides are already on cars. Dan Lindsay says, I usually give them the October 1st counts. If they want to know percentages, the low income report is giving the highest number eligible. Oop, that skips. It's like I'm using Jennifer's computer today. He says, not the actual counts. So you might, whoever's asking you for your free and reduced numbers, you might ask them, exactly what numbers they are needing. When I skipped way on down. Oh, no, it didn't. Somebody says you started on your phone, then went to your computer. If you actually need the certificate, you probably need to, Deanna, put your phone number or call Sherry and tell her what you did, and she will make sure you get a certificate. I saw another question on here, but I couldn't. Okay, so enrollment of 517 is from, I can't get my computer to even tell me what that question says, from Vicki Milton.
So the enrollment of 517 is from the October 1 accreditation report. October 1 accreditation report is all.
Right, October 1 accreditation enrollment is just your current enrollment. Your 5 to 17, you're going to have to figure out from, so if your October 1 enrollment's 1,000 kids, you're going to have to go into your lunch system or your student information system, and you're going to have to physically figure out who needs to be taken out of the 5 to 17-year-olds who are under 4 and who are 18 or over. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions pop up.
Can I get you to explain again on the banks and SSO?
Okay. Laura, think about it this way. It's seamless summer and what we're talking about really have nothing to do with the other. Right now, we're claiming everyone free under, we're not claiming them free. We're feeding them for free and claiming them all in the free category because of SSO. For your low income report, it is based on your free and reduced eligibles, just like a normal school year. The only thing that's not normal is normally you do an October claim and you put in how many free eligibles you have at each site and how many reduced eligibles and full paid. This year, you're just doing that on the low income report. The highest eligible, the easiest way to look at it is kind of what the explanation I used a while ago. If you have a child and they enroll in October, they could be full paid for a few days until they complete an application. So on your edit check sheet in that free eligibles, that child is now an eligible student. He could have eaten a full paid meal. He comes in the middle of October and turns in an application and you figure his income and now he goes to reduced. So he's already eaten as a full paid student. So now he's reduced and he eats a few more days. So now he's in the reduced eligible column going up, because remember, and we're looking at on the edit check sheet, it's column 6 for the free. So that always is increasing. There's always a plus. You don't ever minus out on column 6 on the free highest enrolled eligibles. Then that child comes along and appears on your direct cert list, or even turns in a new another application because things happen and maybe they lost their job. So now they're free. So now you put them on column 6, the free category. So that child has now eligible in all 3, full paid, reduced, and free. And that's the same way for every student. It's the highest enrolled eligible. And that's the numbers you're looking at for your low income report. So your low income report could have more students eligible than enrolled. It could happen. So number 3 on the report for the total enrollment on October 1st should match. No, your enrollment.
The enrollment on number 3 is only 5 to 17-year-olds.
The enrollment on your number 3 is only your 5 to 17-year-olds. It is, yeah.
Number 3 is only isn't that enrollment only 5 to 17-year-olds?
I'm 90% sure. Right. That's how the low income works. Remember, we don't make up the low income report. We don't technically use the low income report for anything in child nutrition. It's how the legislation was written many years ago, before probably I was born. That's been a long time ago. Long time ago. That's how this other funding was set up. It was based on free and reduced meal applications. So that's why we get to be involved. Tammy says, thank you for all your team does to help us out. Phone, emails, greatly appreciated. We appreciate you guys. You guys do an outstanding job of keeping the kids fed, especially in this time with supply chain and everything that's going on. Remember, we still have our biweekly calls with schools. If you jumped on this and you're not familiar with those biweekly calls, the next one is November. I'm not going to lie. I think it's November the 8th. I do not have my calendar in front of me. We try to discuss anything new that's come out from USDA. We also take questions and try to answer those on a a bi-weekly basis. But anytime you have a question, you need something answered, give us a call. We'll be glad to help you any way we can. So Dee Dee's asking you get your count as of October 31st. Not sure what you mean there, Dee Dee.
Enrollment is as of October 1st.
Enrollment is as of October 1st.
Eligible are the highest number any day within the month of October.
Right, your highest eligible is any day in the month of October. If you look at your edit check sheet, column 6, it tells you plus only. So if you start the month with 100 children and you have 3 new kids come in that are free eligibles, you're going to add 3. If you have 2 leave the next day, you're not minusing out those 2 in column 6. It's always a plus. That is the number you're looking for at the end of the month, is that highest eligible. All right, she says she's got it.
Okay.
Good. Now, if you're like me, I have it right now, but I may lose it time I get back to my office. Lauren says, I'm having internet issues. Will I be able to access the recording? If so, where? Kendra's told you OSDE Connect. It will be available tomorrow, Monday at the latest. But the girls are waiting on me to get finished so they can get the recording, get the closed caption put on it, and get it on over to OSD Connect. So we can, that'll be out there for your availability. Even if there's something you want to just go back and look at on OSDE Connect, go look at it. You know, if you don't need another certificate, you don't have to watch the entire thing. Fast forward it to the part you want, because I do talk very fast sometimes and want to make sure you guys get it. If not, if we don't have any more questions, we've been almost an hour. You guys have been a great audience. Thank you for the questions. Very good questions. I know it's kind of confusing. Just get in there, get your claim done, Monday, get your claim done Monday. Then that low income report will open up and you can start working on it at your convenience. I know you schools that have multi-sites may not, be able to get everything in and certify it by Monday, but do the best you can to get it so you can get that low income report to us. Rebecca, you're welcome. Low income is very confusing. But just think of it as just, you can do it. Again, if you guys need help, give us a call. Woo, end of slideshow. We finally got a few applications. Yeah, we're really interested to see what the numbers are going to look like, because we think they're, we know they're going to be down. We know, you guys have struggled to get applications. I know somebody had 0 applications the other day because they were talking about verification. And I said, well, if you had 0 applications on file as of October 1st, you don't have any to verify. Yeah, Rebecca's got a few in the last few days. Send something out tonight on your school message board, your Facebook page or whatever, and say, get those applications in tomorrow. I don't know, offer them a smart snack cookie tomorrow if they bring back their application tomorrow, or make them a real cookie. Don't tell your consultants I said that. As long as it meets, you could give, as long as you're not selling it, you can give it away. I know, in McAllister, I can't say I tried everything, but one year we gave away TVs, drawings for TVs. We didn't give every student a TV that filled out an application. We did, I don't know, we gave cookies away. We did have a catering fund that we paid for most of that stuff. That's kind of things out of our catering fund to make sure we weren't spending our child nutrition money. But anyway, do the best you can. You guys are doing a great job. If you need our help, we are here for you. And since there's not any more questions, we are going to call it a day. Thank you, guys. I know it looks strange when I have to look up there because I can't. Where did it go?